Okay, we're live. And we're good. We're live. What's up, guys? John Sintes here. Cutternation Podcast, Cast Right Low. Cutternation Podcast 104. Don't forget, please smash that like button. Subscribe. If you like for the content that we're putting out, please share it out on social media. I'm super excited about today's guest, Marvin Freeman, the MLB legend and the most recent of very entertaining social media posts, putting out some amazing content. Marvin, I appreciate you coming onto the show and taking a little time out of your day.
Well, as you know, I love media. I love getting out there and giving guys what I know, because you can't take it with you. And at the same time, I want to kind of make it clear that there's more than one way of skinning the cat. Everybody's placing things in one basket, like that's the only way, or this is the only way that's possible to play this game of baseball, when you got so many different body types, body sizes, velocities, swing speeds, running speed. Everybody's different, but I just try and make sure that I can enhance what a kid has and maybe improve on some of his weaknesses. So that's the approach that I take when I'm training pitchers, and I stay in my lane. Although I had a couple of big league home runs, I ain't out there doing hitting lessons. So I try and stay with what I'm good at, and that's pitching and teaching the art of the game.
Yeah, totally. I love it. I grew up in Florida, big Braves fan of the 90s, just baseball fan. I mean, I was one of those kids that was obsessed. Still am, and I never understood the you can't just do this thing all the time, and my dad was always, we bought the Leo Mazzoni book, and it was, it was play catch all the time. You don't have to throw all the time. The information and seeing the internet, really come through Major League Baseball in this time frame too. Your experience and your history and how long you've been in the game is tremendous. What do you feel like, since you were playing to where you are now, where do you feel like the information has evolved from? Do you feel like it's gotten better? Has it gotten more clouded? Is there just more? Where do you feel like it is right now?
Well, I mean, there is a lot more information, tons of information. And with anything, information can be good if you use it right. Sometimes it's getting abused or it's getting skewed to the point to where people are trying to make their point with information that doesn't really apply to other kids. And so when you start doing that, you start facing the danger of having kids that's being successful change what they've done in order to conform to the things that they're reading, seeing, and especially with the uptick in social media. Guys can go on there and learn about a lot of different things. But I always tell my players, find out who you are, learn who you are, how you can be the best you, and then use the information that's going to help you. And if it's not going to help you, let it go in one ear and out the other. But that's going to come with maturity. And right now, a lot of these young kids are getting developed 12, 13, 14 years old, like they're 25, 26-year-old men. And it's just not possible for them to have the same kind of functional strength, the same kind of mental preparation, and things that go into what pro ball players do to try and make kids do it. So I try to at least bridge that gap and let guys know that, development early will lead to success later.
I love that idea. What is the earliest that you would like to see a specific guy start working on his skills of pitching?
As soon as he believes that he can pitch. Most of the time you have guys, I have guys sent to me because he's got a strong arm. Oh, he should be a pitcher. But if he doesn't buy into the idea that he wants to pitch, which is the most important aspect of pitching, you got to want to be out there. You're going to get pounded. You're going to have some success. But if you don't want to do it, you're going to give up on it. So when they start showing the interest, like if I give them some things that they need to do at home on their own, and then I see them on, YouTube or Facebook or Instagram, actually in their backyard practicing, trying to get better by themselves and working on the things that they feel are going to help them get better, then I take them as fast and as far as they're able to comprehend. So I would like to say from the time they become entrenched in this competitive travel league, which is probably around 12 or 13 years old, they need to know some of the fundamentals of the game. And I don't mean just how hard can you throw or how high can you hit a baseball. It's certain intricacies and idiosyncrasies that need to be taught at a young age so that their baseball IQ can improve as they get bigger and stronger, and then they can start applying this to their own game.
So baseball IQ is a rather controversial topic sometimes, right? Like it's the same thing like you were saying before. It could be good information. It could be bad information. We like to sum it up, and we have some theories about some things about how to try to win the game, right? You mentioned off air 27 outs, and Cass and I have talked about this idea too. And in your career, I believe you were a starter and a reliever.
Yes.
Hell of a reliever.
Mop up man, setup man. I did it all.
I wanted to give you some props because in my career, I actually was a starter most of my life. And then when I went and played in Mexico, I turned into kind of a closer. I really found the love of the game and of being able to affect the game every night. Like I was a presence. You know, people knew who I was. They hated it. They knew the cutter was coming. You know, I even got to throw cutters in Panama one year in winter ball, which was like my dream, right? Just like Rivera, this is where
Absolutely.
he kind of made it famous, and then I get to throw on Rod Carew Field in Panama. I was like, this is a dream. This is crazy, right? With that being said, you know, one of the things we've been preaching lately that these tournaments don't allow these kids to do because everybody has a 1-inning outing, right, or a 2-inning outing, and it's kind of turned into minor league baseball where they're not trying to win the game. You know what I mean? And so Cass and I were talking about, you know, why don't we teach kids to try to get 27 outs in a row? Just start the game. Go out and just how many in a row can you get? What's your best streak? And you ask the kid that question, and they have no clue. We see that stat, or you hear about it in you know in the announcing of the game where they say, oh, he's 14 batters in a row retired. And even the word retired kind of confuses some kids on stuff like that when they say that, but they don't understand that language like we do. We grew up with that. You know, that was a term that an announcer would use to describe what was happening.
Right. I mean, you know, I asked the kid, you know, how he pitched the other day. He said, I threw a no-hitter, coach. I'm going, oh, great. How many strikeouts did you have? Oh, I only had 2, but I only pitched 2 innings. I'm like, well, you know, that ain't a no-hitter. You know, so even understanding the terminology has gotten a little bit off-centered. You know, we're not doing a good job at like really translating the baseball lingo to the younger generation like we got it coming up. And so they misinterpret a lot of things. I've even talked to guys that's in the big leagues now. And I ask them, you know, what are you trying to do? I talked to a couple of relief pitchers and they said, I'm trying to strike out everybody that I face. I was like, well, okay, that's good intent. But when you go out there 60 times in a year and your effort is max effort on every pitch, you're probably not going to last too long. So the longevity piece, I don't think they really understand how it takes a toll on your body to ask it to pitch in the red zone all the time. At some point, you got to pull the string. At some point, you got to be happy with getting a guy to pop up in the infield. It's got to make you feel a little good about having a guy up there swinging for the fences and you get him out in front. I remember a story when I was on the Braves and Greg Maddox was sitting on the bench. And the night before, he had just probably pitched a complete game and threw about 86 pitches. And I pitched 1 inning out of relief, and I'm sitting on the bullpen. I'm sweating. I'm breathing hard. And I'm trying to, like, you know, get my composure because I'm super fired up late in the game. I'm like, hey, the guys have fought so hard to get to this point. I don't want to go out here and blow it. And so I sat down, and he sits on the bench, and he's looking at me like this. He's going, dude, why are you sweating like that? He was like, take something off, change speeds, pull the string. He said, every pitch ain't got to be balls out. So I'm like, you know what? You're right. So as I transitioned back over to a starter when I went to Colorado, I took that mentality and thinking, hey, if I can get this guy out on 1 pitch, that means that second or third time around, I still got a better chance to introduce something different to him that he hasn't seen. Because I'm trying to get as many outs as I can before they come get me out of the game. And if I have to strike you out, it's only because it's a runner on third with less than 2 outs. That's when I'm trying to strike somebody out. But strikeouts were, they're glamorous. I mean, you strike out 15 guys, you're gonna be on the front page of the newspaper, and Sports Center is gonna have you lifted up and all of this. But I was trying to play a long time, and that's why I was really trying to make sure that I saved some of them bullets. So when I had to, you don't hear this term anymore, reach back and get something extra, I had it there. Because right now in the first inning, guys are reaching back and getting something extra. So if you're getting something extra in the first inning, you ain't gonna have nothing left to come around that second or third time. And that's where they start taking guys out of the lineup. I mean, taking pitchers out for, things that might happen. So those are the things that I'm kind of, struggling to understand. And it's taken away from some of those one-on-one confrontations with the guy. You've gotten him out twice, or he got 2 hits off of you, and then you come up in a crucial situation and you got a chance to get him out, and you get him out. That's what baseball is to me.
I love that you went into that, because I was just talking to a parent the other day about this, and they were asking about, why. So we've broken down sequences, and I commented on your post, and the camera angles, the only thing that got me. I couldn't tell if it went straight down on the split or it broke with the slider. And so that's how I was like, did you go slider, slider, slider? And we've kind of broken into the strategy of pitching, right, in the game. And I love you were, I have to give props to you, because I remember, talking to my dad as I was going into this closing role as a pro, and I started being like, I don't understand why guys throw fastballs in RBI situations, especially relievers entering the game. And I remember talking to my dad, and my dad was like, Marvin Freeman used to come in and throw banger sliders and splits first pitch every time. And I remember being like, yeah, why? That's not what as a starter, to establish the fastball, get it in there, get him in swing mode. And just watching your clip that I had commented, I'm like, yeah, this is it. This is the thing where you have the 96, you can blow it by the guy, and yet in that at bat, it seemed to me what I could analyze, that this guy was in fastball swing mode, and you threw everything into the fastball tunnel, and it came out of it, and he just didn't change his strategy all 3 pitches. And so go ahead.
Absolutely. I mean, I tell pitchers this all the time. When I'm in the tunnel and we're working on pitching, I would stop doing whatever we're doing just to watch guys taking BP. And I tell the pitcher, just watch these guys right here. I said, every single guy in here, it's like 8 cages in there. Every single guy in here is working on hitting the fastball. He's working on hitting the fastball. He's working on hitting the fastball. Look at every tunnel. I said, so everybody wants to hit the fastball. Now, you get to the big leagues, if you don't have good location and you don't have the ability to mix in something else, your fastball could be 100 miles an hour and guys will be able to catch up and time that. But I always understood that when I'm coming to a game, and I used to see pinch hitters on the bench, and they talk to each other and they're going, man, that first pitch of fastball, I'm letting it eat because I don't want to get behind in the count. So I'm getting after the first thing I see. So I always say, hey, if I can throw my first pitch breaking ball over, that sets me up to have a better chance to, beat the guy with my fastball if he's got in the back of his mind that I might throw something else. But if he's coming out there looking for heat and I'm going out there trying to throw the ball past him, most of those battles, the pitcher ain't going to win. And so that's where the actual knowledge of what you know about yourself is going to come in and help you be a better pitcher. So, you're absolutely right, man. Late the game, you come in and you got a fastball, you better make sure you spot it because the hitter is definitely looking to swing at it.
One thing that I don't know has been explained to me like John does it is like, I think what John alludes to is the fact that he gets people to swing at his fastball out of the zone more often because he recognizes when he's setting them up, right? So he doesn't have to throw a lot of strikes with his fastball. And I think that, through all of this, we're gonna say a lot of the similar things, but that's what I think that's the balance of spotting up, is that important if you're playing the game right here, if you're playing the fast, slow game of showing that first pitch off speed, my pitching coach in college was just like, you need that get me over. Well, then I realized that it was simply just like the value of pitching backwards as a guy who the hardest pitch I've ever thrown off the mound is 88, right? I lived off front door sliders and fastballs in because I could miss the whole inner half because of that tunnel that I created. I didn't get to the level that you guys did, but I think what we'll all agree on is this is uncommon for kids to have this knowledge, it doesn't make any sense. This is seemingly very easy to teach kids. Would you agree?
Oh, it's very easy, but a lot of guys don't do it because they don't understand the concept of it. What they understand is what they see on TV. And so if you see a guy throwing 100 miles an hour and you see guys struggling to hit it, of course you're going to be working on velo. You got a lot of velocity farms and stuff to just try and build a guy's velocity. But when they get on the mound, and I've seen this, I've seen guys train all winter to throw harder, and they may experience some velocity increases. But then when I see them in the game, they got to take a little bit off to be able to control that pitch. So you've worked all winter on building velocity. Now you got to take a little bit off to throw a strike with it. I mean, why not learn how to command both sides of the plate, throw a pitch that looks like a strike, throw a pitch that is off speed that you can control and command, and then your fastball automatically becomes faster. So that's right. I mean, that is common sense, but it's hard.
So I think there's the training side of it where we're actually training for velocity, but I also think you're bringing to light something that I don't think a lot of kids understand about movement in general, and that perceived effort of how much you want to try, right? That's going to be. I think kids can. I always think of Victor Martinez talking about he swung at 70%. That dude would get into it, right? And it's 70% in his field. It don't look like 70%. And I think a lot of kids don't know their body well enough to recognize what that actually means, right? And I also think there is value in staying relevant from a velocity standpoint because it matters in so many situations. And high school teams won't take a kid who can't throw hard enough. But I will say this, and I'm curious. I'm going to throw a question here and then finish up. What's the youngest kid you work with? Because what I've seen when I trained in Minnesota, I didn't work with this as young of kids as we do now. And I learned that, 7 to 13 is the window for speed. And you think about little kids at that age, and they'll jump on a trampoline, they'll fall off the trampoline on their head, jump back up and go, oh my gosh, let's do it again. Like they're built for these kind of things. So I see a lot of kids that don't actually tap into that part of their, part of growing up. They're built for speed. They're stretching out. And that was something that Randy Sullivan down at the Florida Baseball Ranch had brought up is like, these kids are springy. It might have even been on base you guy, but regardless, I've heard this in multiple places, So yeah, I asked a question in there. I don't remember what it was.
You asked me how
Kid?
young.
Yeah.
I have some 8-year-olds, but the 8-year-olds that I work with, I make sure that they're actually playing catch with their dads on a regular basis before I even get to them. Because if you don't know how to throw a ball in a direction or hold it the right way, then how are you going to come in and learn how to control and manipulate your body enough to where you can throw consistent strikes with it? So I kind of give them a little audition before I actually start training them. But the youngest that I've worked with, I got an 8-year-old lefty, man, that's unbelievable. I mean, this kid just moves like a pitcher. And I try not to get too complicated with what we're doing other than just trying to let him go through his mechanics, point out things that he may be doing wrong, like falling into the pitch or flying off or just not letting his legs move him. And, I don't start having them spin the ball or anything like that until they get to around 54 feet, 13, 14 years old, when I know that fastball changeup is going to need something else. But 8 years old is probably the youngest, but on a regular, probably around 12 is the is my sweet spot for working with young guys.
So I think that my favorite thing that I've learned, I didn't train velocity before working with John, quite honestly. And I was always nervous of keeping kids healthy. And since what I've seen is, this is the story that I share with people. Throwing a ball is as elementary as you can get. Anybody can pick up a ball and throw it as hard as they want, because you can give a ball to a toddler, they'll pick it up and they'll chuck it. Kids pick up things, chuck it. It's part of who we are. It's in our DNA. But catching it is not. So catching to a young kid is like 8th grade reading level. Now you go to 8th grade, no, kids aren't really struggling to catch the ball at 8th grade. That's a skill that's pretty easy to do it. Now at the highest level, of course not. I'm not diminishing the importance of footwork and fundamentals, yada yada yada. I'm just saying that's the thing. So at the youngest ages, what I've seen is what you just said, playing catch with dad, because dad's way bigger than you, and you should be able to chuck it at dad and have some fun and do some strike competitions like we like to do at Cutternation, right? Where, hey, put yourself in situations. These are important moments, bonding moments with your kid, right? Like this is significant, right? And not saying we're replacing that. I'm saying I think that's why our throw it into a target, on a semi-frequent basis, there's no fear of the catch, and kids can learn their body faster by not worrying about playing catch with a kid, if that makes sense. So I like that you're saying the dad part, and I'm curious. I mean, you watch our stuff, right? I mean, we have young kids seeing their velocity all the time, and I think we're very conscious of those things. Do you have any thoughts on that?
What, kids seeing their velocity?
Sure, and just like I'm curious, like we have kids do run the ball and throw it as hard as they possibly can. It's the first thing that we have kids do, and we grow out of that because we want to see them throw the ball well, strong fastball mechanics, and learn how to pitch once they can throw the ball well, right? So we don't have kids spin the ball until they prove to us that they can throw the ball straight and it doesn't hurt, and it's fast to whatever their fast is, right?
I got you. I understand that. But when I see most of those running gun and running throws, I don't see the most important piece, the end. The end is where they're trying to get stable on that landing leg and get to a point of release that's going to be consistent. I see them run, throw, and flip over, but I mean, it's different from pitching. I mean, if we're going to train pitchers, we got to train in a way that the pitcher is going to be delivering that ball downhill, not throwing the ball up. But that's where, when we used to long toss, every day I went out with Mark Wohlers, and he threw 100 miles an hour when they had the slow gun. And so we would go and long toss, and at the end of the long toss, we throw the ball out of the stadium because we just wanted to let it unwind. But when we got to the end, we always brought it back in to a pitching distance and worked on getting a feel of how the ball comes out of our hand. There's a place for letting it go. I mean, you need to do that. It's like with any exercise that you do, the more exertion you put on a muscle, the stronger it can possibly get. But you want to do it in a fashion that's going to translate over into pitching easier than just throwing. Young kids don't throw enough. They'll pitch in a game on Saturday, and they won't pick up a ball till that Wednesday practice. And then they'll wonder why their arm is not getting stronger. I think we threw every day as a kid. I don't remember a day going by in the summer that we didn't grab a ball and go out. And if we didn't have a game, we play like, pickle. We trying to throw the ball down the city block street, whatever. We were doing something baseball-wise that would kind of really help us develop a better pattern with our throwing and a better understanding of how to leverage that body and get more momentum and direction behind the throw. But I'm seeing too much of that and not enough of the latter, where guys need to be playing a control game of catch on a regular basis so that they can do it often. A lot more throwing with less exertion is going to give you a better feel. And so when guys are just maxing out and then they throw a bullpen and every bullpen is like, I heard something called a velo bullpen, and the coach said, well, we don't really care if it strikes. We just want them to get on the mound and throw as hard as I can. And I thought that was ridiculous to me, because if we're trying to train a guy to have command, those pieces go together. You still can throw hard and still have an idea where you're trying to put the ball. And if it's not there, then you kind of read what you're doing and learn what adjustment you need to make as a pitcher to make that happen. And that's has been really, really successful. I always use video. I show the kid what happens when he does it wrong, and then I kind of put it together when he's doing it right so that they can get a sense of both. And then they can kind of look and see for themselves what I see as a coach, and then they can start to learn how to be their own best coach when they're practicing.
So many buzzwords go off for me right there, Marvin. I want to clarify a little bit more of our strategy work thing, because I think we're on the same page with this stuff. And we do the run and guns and shuffle fires and all that. And we try to gamify everything for what we're doing. So we count everything. So the way we look at the radar gun is just measurement of force output. And we explain it because most kids grew up playing video games and this day, and you can kind of teach them this leaderboard idea of like what level they're at, right?
I use all this stuff.
Yeah, and so we use it like, for example, one of the kids that comes to my mind is, I have a kid who's 10, and he's been started with me since he was 7. This kid loves to throw. He's always loved to throw. And he started at 38 miles an hour. He tells me almost every week he comes in. Now, he can run and gun 68 miles an hour, and he's 60 to 62 off the mound. But the entire concept that we've been putting on this kid from the beginning is you need to have a strong arm. Your arm needs to feel good. You need to know where the ball's going. That's the only 3 things that we've really been putting in. And if you throw something incorrectly, your body will tell you based on the pain, and the pain will affect the feel and the velo. So it won't go where it's supposed to, and it's going to be slower. And so you have to find this free space area of throwing of when you're following through, and we have some other detailed stuff into that. But you said the same thing about your life that I resonated with. I played baseball every day. We played tennis ball, baseball every day. We hit the ball every day. I threw every day baseball with my dad. And when I look at how the industry of baseball is going right now, where everything is going to these travel 2-3 practices a day and all this other stuff, you don't get this everyday idea. It's not what's happened. So the parents don't realize that when you play 7 games in a weekend at 10 years old, that Monday is going to be terrible. And actually he should play catch. He should have what we call a 20% day, which is where you just loosen it up until it feels good, and then you stop, right? Mm-hmm. And so the way we've set up our business here and what we're trying to do is we have packages for 2 times a week, 3 times a week, unlimited, stuff like that. And we want people to really learn how to be a pro early. And if you can learn how to be a pro and handle your own business and do stuff, you can really give yourself a chance to go as far as you can in this game, because you're actually working on the things like what you were talking about earlier about what actually works. We have, we just put these kids in these scenarios where we say, hey, if you understand what the offensive strategy, like you were talking about in RBI situations, you actually can take a little off and throw 3 sliders in a row if you have a base open with first, and it's not that big a deal because you still have a chance to get out of this. So like teaching the strategy of the game and not being afraid to walk a guy or actually try a sequence that is going to work or not going to work, and working through that is not tested enough to us. And so, I asked you, when you have these kids that you're training and stuff, and then when they go into the games, the biggest difference that I personally see from the way I grew up playing the game was I played in a league that we played 3 times a week my whole life, right? Mm-hmm. We had a spring league and we had a summer league, and then fall was off, and then we just did it again, right? And so I just played baseball 3 times a week my whole life. And so you had the old limits where kids couldn't throw, if you threw 6 innings in a week, then he was done for that week. And then if you threw 4 innings, so the dads that we had were at least handling it where it was like 2 pitchers a game. We had a guy who threw 4 innings, another guy threw 3 innings, right? And that would rotate, and everybody pitched on the thing. So I ask you, is with the tournaments and how things are going and how condensed it is, are you seeing a difference in how these kids are developing, because it sounds like it for what you're saying. You're having kids that can't locate fastballs or do this and not doing it enough. Where do you feel like that discrepancy is and like how you grew up throwing every day and trying to literally play the game, whether it was organized or not. And what's happening right now, where, like I said, 7 games in the weekend is the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard, you know?
Oh yeah, absolutely. What I see is we used to be able to just walk outside with 5 or 6 guys and go to a park and just play. No adults, nobody standing over you to tell you you're doing it wrong. You're going out there and you're figuring it out. We watched the game on TV. We went out and we tried to imitate our favorite players. Now everything is so structured. The kid is almost like, upset that it's a practice. We tried to practice because we love the game and we wanted to get better at doing certain things. If I saw a pitcher on TV with a curveball, I would look at it like this. What's he doing? Oh, he's doing that. He's pulling down. I'd go outside and try it. And if I got it wrong, I got it wrong. But I would keep trying until I made the ball do what I saw that pitcher on TV did. And so now, I understand. I'm in the training field. I train kids like 5 days out of the week. I try and make sure that they understand how difficult it is if they're not working on their own. And a lot of kids just don't work on their own because there's so many other things that they're involved in. And the baseball that they get on the weekend, when they go at 8 o'clock in the morning, they get home at 10 o'clock at night, they think that's enough to last till the next week. And so this game is, you play 162 games in the big leagues. You got about 30 in spring training. That's 200 games you're going to play in the season. And guys are still screwing up. So all the practicing and all the games that you play, you're still going to make mistakes. But you have to be able to learn what you can do. And you're only going to learn that if you're out there practicing it with as least amount of noise as possible. I love when I see organizations have more practices than they have games, because it tells me that at a 10, 11, 12-year-old age, they're not just out there trying to chase the trophy. It's the development to help these kids go on and play in high school that should be, the focus for kids that age. And then when they get to be, 9th, 10th, 11th grade, where they're competing in these elite tournaments against kids from all over the country, then you want to test and see where you stand as a part of this whole baseball community where guys are trying to compete against other guys to see, oh, this guy's really good. Let me see where I'm at. Then you can kind of get a little bit more into the tournament scene. But younger should have more development and practice, but at the same time, they should still be playing as few games on a day as they can. You play a triple header and then it kind of gets a little long, So, but with these pitchers, I see guys using the same guys that are throwing strikes all the time. They're using the same stuff. They're trying to spread out their appearances so they can use them on the back end of the tournament when they have other guys that should be getting developed, especially in these fall ball leagues. That's what I don't understand. You play fall ball to help the other guys get better so you can use them in summer so that they can help balance out that pitching staff. But I always tell guys, hey, if you're a good pitcher, you better be getting in shape because they're going to pitch you a lot. And you want to be able to be still standing when the season's over with. So, I just don't see everybody that calls themselves pitchers being developed.
I couldn't agree more. I think it goes back to what you were saying too about like not throwing enough and not understanding. Like that's what I think a professional is a guy that can handle workload, knows when he's sore and knows when he needs to stretch it out. And, when you condense everything into that weekend and you're just trying to get everything done as much as you can to win that trophy, it just doesn't, that's not how the game is. It's a little bit like that in college now, because they play, some of those NAIA schools play like 5 games in a weekend. They'll play like a Friday and then 2 double headers on Saturday and Sunday. And because they're just trying to get games in,
they'll have a 15-man staff too.
Right, exactly. But on the counter to it, and like what sounds like you and I we grew up with, and I know Cass did this too, is when you have a league or you have a non-structured everyday type idea, you're actually able to work on the skills more of what these things are, right? And the skills of, controlling your 96-mile-an-hour fastball and knowing when to pull back and throw it at 92 or 90, or maybe try to get a little bit more, like you were saying. Those are all things that happen in the experience of competing against another person. And so our entire basis of our program is based on live at bats, because that's where we feel like it actually works more like a football schedule, where you have all week to train and work on what you're supposed to, and then you need to test it on one day in a scenario which is the safest, which is live at bats, where you can just get your work in, and then you can go right back to your program and get back to your recovery days and all the other soft tissue stuff that you're supposed to do, and then keep preparing to keep the development going at a safe rate where you're not overtaxing your body. So,
absolutely.
So to me, I love your practice idea, of what you're talking about, but I want to ask about your favorite part of it. Like, what's your favorite part about the game of baseball? Where's that? Because I see the killer instinct, the videos of you strutting on the mound and everything. I remember that. Like, I have this, Smoltz had his little walk that he would do around the mounds after he'd punch a dude, and I took that, I took it, and I would walk right around the mound on each one of them. And then I've even expanded further in my career. I still play to this day. Tomorrow, I'm probably going to throw 120 pitches tomorrow for our pro guys at 34. So, a lot of guys think I'm weird that I can throw, but and we'll get into that in just a minute. But tell me about your favorite part about the game. Because that's one of my favorite questions to big time guys is where did the love start? What's your favorite part?
Oh man, pitching is my favorite part. I don't care who's playing who. If that pitcher is out there handling his business and he's, I like Trevor Bauer because he talks the talk and he walks the walk, and he'll strut on you. He'll tell you to sit down. But the thing about that is some guys don't like to put that type of pressure on themselves. I liked it. I would tell a guy, and I got a funny story about that too. We were playing the St. Louis Cardinals, and we had took the first 3 games. I was pitching Sunday, and as we were walking off the field, I knew I was going to pitch the next day, and we were walking. This was at Old Mile High Stadium, where everybody had to go off in the left field corner because it was a football field, and the clubhouses were back to back. So we're walking off, the Cardinals walking, some of the Rockies. I had some big guys with me, so I could talk a lot of stuff. So I'm walking off, and I looked at Gerald Perry on the Cardinals. I said, you guys get swept tomorrow, right? And he's like surprised that I would say that, but I like to have that edge. Yeah. The edge to me was going out there proving that the stuff that I talk, I'm going to go out here and either back it up or I'm going to get pounded and then they're going to shut me up. So that drove me to being a little bit more competitive, not only just against myself, but against the other team as well. Sutcliffe threw at me 4 times that game. He hit me. He got ejected and all of that. But I was pointing at the locker room. I was like, yeah, you going over there, but I'm still on the mound pitching. I ended up winning the game, man. I posted that video a couple of times too on my Instagram. It's deep, man. We was just talking stuff. And then when I got on first base, I told Gerald Perry, I said, hey, yeah, man, your teammate ain't out here now. I said, let's go. And he started walking to me, and the umpire came up, was like, hey, shut it down.
Ooh.
You leading 8-0 in the 4th inning. I'll throw you out. You'll blow this win. I was like, all right, I'm cool, Blue. I'm cool. But my favorite part of the game was just like the trash talk, the mixing it up, the going out there trying to stare somebody down. That was
so
my
happy
favorite
that
part.
you did this. I'm so happy this is where it is, because that's what I see, right? And so I'm the same, man. This is me. There's the way I look at it, especially, my life and who's influenced me to play the game. And I've always looked at the guys that were the best at it, right? And Maddox they called him Mad Dog, right? And
Mad Dog.
The fact that people didn't think that he threw hard, like, was the craziest thing that I'd ever seen. Because it was a thing. Like, all 3 guys, Maddox, Smoltz, and Glavine, and, when Avery was there too, right? My dad was like, we're doing a thing. And then I remember, like, there were a couple of times in my life where you guys would go on a streak or something, and then he would make the same food for the whole thing. Like, Dad's just all in on the superstition. But my dad's not even a baseball guy, He's just a surfing artist, but he just knew that he just kind of listened to everything,
Yeah.
And so you talking about what we talk about here, where the game is boiled down to pitcher versus hitter. And the best way I can explain that is it's one-on-one basketball. It's you versus the guy. It doesn't matter anything else than that. It's you versus him. That's what it is. And I think we get away from that too much because we're worried about ground balls and 60 times, and like you're saying, velos and all this stuff. And that mad dog mentality, I always want to know, where did that come from? What happened there? Like, how did you develop that?
Just I grew up in Chicago, and we played baseball on concrete with a box spray painted on the wall. That was we played strikeout. So it could be 2-on-2, and we'd be playing all day until either the ball busted or we end up losing it. But it was just that back and forth, Yeah, I'm getting ready to take you deep. I'm getting ready to go. Then I'm going to throw one at your head, and then I'm going to break you off something. So
who's we?
Back and it was I played against, Wes Chamberlain. He played in the majors, and we had played Little League. Trinidad Hubbard, we were on the same Little League team. We ended up playing on the Rockies together. And so we had so many guys in my neighborhood. Well,
Is
in my
it
neighborhood,
Puckett from Chicago?
Kirby Puckett. Oh, man.
Man.
Oh, he used to kill me in summer league, man. I was like, I ain't throwing this little fat butterball, no strike. Man, that dude can rake, boy. I mean, every pitch you threw up there, I don't care if it could bounce, he still hit it somewhere.
Smoked
But
it.
I mean, we just had, we just had this whatever season it was, that's what we played. If it was basketball season, it'd be the same guys playing basketball. Football season, if it snowed, if we got 5 inches of snow, we putting on 2 skull caps, 3 pair of jeans, 3 jackets. That was our equipment. And we out here hitting each other like we just playing full rough tackle football with no equipment on. And it was just, I was just raised in a neighborhood where if you didn't compete, if you didn't bring it, you were on the sideline wondering why you couldn't get out there and play. You had to bring it, whatever sport that you played in, or you wasn't gonna get picked. So that's where I think it started and developed. And then when I got to Jackson State, it was like, damn, these guys are talking so much smack. They don't even know me. And I say, because when I first got to college, I was like, okay, I gotta kind of tone it down a little bit. These guys are like 20 years old. I'm an 18-year-old skinny freshman. I don't want to piss them off. And I'm throwing a couple of pitches. Oh, yeah, this the draft pick. They screaming because I got drafted out of high school, right? So they knew that. They was coming at me, man. So I was like, if I don't match this, I'm going to get stormed over, man. So I kind of took that with me through college. And then when I signed, I went to Cape Cod. And I was a guy from Jackson State University facing guys from Stanford and all these powerhouse colleges, and they like, how the hell you end up getting here? I'm like, dude, I got stuff, man. And I went out there, I went 5-0 in Cape Cod when I right before my junior year, and that's where I think put me on the map for being a number 2 pick with the Phillies, because I showed that I can do it and I can perform and execute and still be able to kind of control my emotions. Oil Can Boyd went to college with me. And if you know anything about the Can, they had a sign from the bench to tell him to shut it down. Shut up, man. Calm it down, because he was high strung. And so, that was just the gladiator pit that I was raised in, and it never went away from me. And I tried to use that as fuel for helping me to be a better competitor, and it worked, man. But like I said, some guys don't want that added attention. They don't want that, those guys over there trying a little bit harder because this guy's an a-hole. And, that sometimes, I would love to have guys up there pissed off so that my off-speed stuff would be more effective. You come up there and I throw a fastball inside at your head, and then I can throw 2 breaking balls for strikes, and you looking out to the mound like, throw me another fastball, you sissy. And I'm like, yeah, right. Go sit down. Here's another splitter. It's getting into their emotions and then making that an advantage for me. So, I was a psychology major at Jackson State. So I did try to find out how guys thunk. And so that helped me. That helped me a long time, and it's still helping me now. I try and put that into kids that I'm coaching now. We play those same live games where I see guys hitting. I'll say, hey, man, you want to get some live ABs? Come over here. We'll have the pitcher out there, and I'll be in the pitcher's ear. Hey, he diving out there for that outside pitch. Don't hit him. Just throw one over his head so we can get him out on this next pitch. And then they would see how the effect of not being just, cookie cutter, just trying to throw strikes, but actually getting to a point to where they can set up the next pitch and having an understanding of how to actually set guys up. But a lot of that is being taken away because coaches call every pitch. They're calling every pitch in college. If you're not that Friday night or Saturday night starter, you got a guy over there with the clipboard. The catcher's looking at his wristband for signal 176, which is just a slider down and away. When they're trying to make the game so complicated, it's slowing it down, it's taking away from the thought process, and it's taking that. Oh God, please don't do it.
We got a human rain delay.
Oh God,
we got a human rain delay with the clipboard. The head coach calling I'm with you. This is me. I got yipped up by a head coach in college so much with that. So many buzzwords right there, Marvin. I appreciate. Yeah, I mean, I don't need this dude telling me what to throw. I'm throwing the ball.
Hey,
but
also, I don't even know why he's so mad. Why is he so mad?
John,
he's not even playing the game.
But also, I love that John's like, I can literally get entire lineups out just knowing that guy in the dugout is calling the game because
Absolutely.
I don't have to. It's unbelievable. It's yeah.
I have.
Marvin, I tell this funny story that when I was in high school, I saw Ryan Klesko do this thing where I remember they panned over to it, and he took these G-hacks on deck and almost fell down, and then got right before he got in the box, he did the same thing, right? And then he got up there, and this dude threw this huge hammer and smoked it out of the yard. And I was like, that was weird. And then he did it again, a later time, and I was like, oh my God, he's baiting the pitcher to throw a breaking ball because he's thinking heater. Dude, I went in high school my senior year, hit 12 home runs doing the exact same thing. just getting this adult to call a curveball or breaking ball off speed first pitch because it was 285 with a 15-foot fence in my high school with the old bat, the old lightning bat. And I'm like, I'd be rounding first this is nuts. I don't understand how this works. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
And my head coach in high school was a AA guy with the Pirates, an infielder, and he just never understood what I was doing. And I was like, I think it works. I don't understand it either, but I know that this coach's job is to watch me on deck. I know that. And so he's watching me, and I'm doing the whole thing, swinging hard, trying to really make it as dramatic as possible, and then even my swing before, I'd get in the box, I'd lose my balance a little bit, and then I'd get in there and just have a little rhythm, and oh, there it is, whack, and I'd be like, this is stupid. And so that part of the game is what it is. And it sounds like you and I, and all three of us love it,
Yep.
Right. And then you can't teach that if you have a travel ball practice and you have 14 ground balls to short, and you're going to do IO every day, and you're just going to have BP. You're going to make it easy on this dude, just like you said, balls right down the middle. None of these things make sense in the game of strategy. This is a random strategy game that nobody has. You have complete freedom to throw whatever pitch you want.
You should, because you feel good about what you're going to do, as opposed to a guy saying, oh, well, you just missed with that curveball. Don't throw another one. And you're like, I already figured out what I did wrong on that. Call it again. And they're like, nah, we want to keep the game moving. Well, you're saying that I can't throw but one pitch for a strike, which is a fastball. And that's BP. I'm not out here to throw BP, man. This is PP.
There's another strategy part of that too that goes a little bit further, where there's offensive coaches that are telling kids after a breaking ball, look for fastball. And it's okay. If he bounces a breaking ball and it's bad, he's going to come back with a fastball. And in my career, I almost doubled up everything, and it works all the time.
Double up equals lockup. Double up equals lockup. I love to hear when coaches, after a kid throws an off-speed pitch or a change-up and the batter is out in front, and I hear the coach yell out, come on, let it get deep. And I always tell my pitchers, I say, if you hear that, make sure the next pitch is a fastball inside. Make sure it's a fastball inside. Let it get deep. Let it get deep on your knuckles. That's what we want to do. And so I never call pitches unless the pitcher asks me before the game, because I can see what a hitter is doing, how he's setting up in the box to know what he's looking for pretty much. So I always ask the kid, you want me to get it today? Yeah, coach, get it, because they don't have to think. But then I got to a point when they got to be 16, I'm like, hey, man, You on your own out here today. Get the first pitch strike. I don't care what it is. Get first pitch strike. Try to get them out on 3 pitches or less. And if you get in trouble, I'll come out and talk to you and tell you what you're doing. I'll give you some. I'll even tell you. Sometimes I go to the mound. I don't even say nothing about pitchers. Or pitching. I went to the mound one time, and this kid, look, he had this deer in the headlight, glazed over look on his face. And I just walked slowly to the mound. I knew his heartbeat was beating through his neck because I could see his Adam's apple just rapidly moving, right? And so I go to the mound and I say, hey, man, I said, who you like the best, Rihanna or Beyonce? And then he went, huh? He was like, Rihanna. I said, well, she's in the stands. If you walk this guy, she going to leave. The guy went out and got the next 10 guys in a row out. He came off the field. He's laughing. Coach, you funny, man. I'm like, did I reset your mind? Because all you need to do sometimes is go out and reset the guys, But a lot of guys that haven't pitched, they don't understand how sensitive pitchers are when they're getting in trouble. They don't understand some of the panic that they have in their head. And all it takes sometimes is to slow that situation down and give them a chance to think clearly again. So it always makes me look like a genius as I'm walking off and they get them out. All the parents was like, Coach, you're the man. What'd you tell him out there? I told him Beyonce had a better body, it's the game, it's the mind, and they have to work together to be successful at this thing, man.
Yeah, please come to San Diego, by the way. You would love our setup. We built an 80-foot tunnel by 17 by 12, and we have a deck behind our mound that we built so we can have screens, just like you were saying. We film everything, and then we put a bunch of Rapsodos on it to where we can see where the ball's going as well as the data on the ball going in. So we got a little robo-zone action going on. But the fun part it is when we go when we face pro guys like I'm going to do tomorrow, is I start them all off with everybody gets 3 fastballs. I just go as hard as I can, try to go down the middle. And they get into it, right? And they crush it. And it goes from there. And when we start playing the game next, like one of the guys that we were playing with, he's an awesome hitter and we have fun, but he's hit a couple bombs on me in fastballs. And then the last time I faced him from there, I just didn't throw him one all day. And he was like, hey, man, what happened to the fastballs? And I'm like, you got to remember that there's no rule says that I have to throw you anything that you want. I can just throw there's a reason why I throw 7 pitches, right? It's just the curveball's not there today. There's the slider. The slider's not there today. There's the cutter. The changeup's not there. Let's go to the split. Let's try the 2-seam. Let's try. Sounds like you were experimental into that phase too. And you locked it in. Your arsenal, your sequences. This is a key to what we try to get kids to unlock and stuff. We've broken it down to a fast, slow concept, right? Where if you can, there's predictable sequences that you can teach kids. And if you break it into 4, there's 16 fast, slow sequences, right? The most common one would be fast, fast, slow, slow, right? And so when I commented on your post and I went slow, 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 those are the things that I'm always like, yeah, slow can be anything, right? But to me, it made a lot of sense when you went slider, split, slider, just based on the thing that I know especially back then when guys were just fastball hunting, even when they were hunting, like you don't see as many G hacks back then as you do right now, right? And that's why the strikeout rate is up, where guys were just shorting up, poking it. They'd rather hit a chopper to second base than strike out, right? They didn't want to be embarrassed like that, So
if you struck out 3 times, you struck out 3 times back then, man. They had 50 hats sitting on your bench where you coming to sit down at. Everybody put their hat right there where you sit. That's a hat trick. You got a hat trick, bro. Dudes was like, get that out of here, man. We don't want to hear that. Now it's like, out is an out. Well, okay, when it's a man on third and you strike out, I like that. I like that as a pitcher. So, you're right, man. It's pitching. It's about getting them out. I don't care how you get them.
That reminds me of Snell. What do you think about Snell getting pulled in the World
Series? As soon as the manager was walking out of the dugout, he had his hand up like he was signaling for the pen. I jumped on Twitter. I said, at this moment, this game is going to change. And before the other guy could even get in it, double down the line, game tied, go ahead, run. And then it was like, I told you. You got a guy that's out there that's just like got the other team by the throat, and he's feeling it. He's, he knows that whoever comes up there, hey, I'm locked in. And then you bring in the guy that's been struggling over his last 4 or 5 outings to get outs, that's really not as sure as the guy that's out there. Now he's got to get into the game, get a feel. The other team is like, okay, cool. They got this guy out. Here come Freeman now. Yeah, we gonna get him. So it's just the whole change of enthusiasm when you get that guy out there that's been pounding your head. And I mean, it goes back to what guys are doing now with the analytics. Analytics say, well, that third time around is going to be really difficult. Well, okay, we know that, but there's certain things that you can't measure, and you can't measure how a guy's feeling at that moment, what he's been doing up to that point, and how his heart is beating at that particular time. And that's what we got to get back to. I understand, the analytics are there to help, but at some point you got to use it for what it is. It's a tool. It can't be a way to manage a ball game every single time out. And that I was just so disappointed that I didn't get a chance to see this guy walk off the mound after 9 innings with his teammates like lifting him up, like, yeah, we got it tomorrow, dog. You brought us to this point. We going into it tomorrow, because it affected both teams. You bring the guy out that's dealing. Your team is like, oh boy, and the other team is like, oh yeah, all right, here we go.
Right.
So
that,
it was just
you said something a second ago or earlier in this, and you were talking about guys want to strike people out and everything, and to me, a strikeout is the best way to explain dominance, right? And so in this game, we go to this isolated game, right? He struck out the next 3 guys. They didn't even touch the baseball. Yeah, they didn't even
9
touch
strikeouts out of 18 batters. So
right,
come on.
and so for us, right, to explain the dominance, with the amount of games that we've seen, when we see that dude and you're on the other side, and then you can feel the offense when they come in the dugout, and this dude goes punchy, and they walk back in the dugout, and you're like, yeah, this is. You can look at your starting shortstop and be like, yeah, this is not good, right? You can look at everybody and the way the game changed. As soon as that guy came in, they cut to the dugout. These dudes are grabbing bats. They're moving around. They're like, all right.
Running to the batting circle. I mean,
right? They're like, yeah.
It was crazy, man. Like, get out of the way. It's my turn. I mean, I remember watching when I was with the Phillies as a rookie, watching Doc Gooden pitch against us. And he had like 15 strikeouts in 7 innings. And guys
all the time.
I mean, usually if a guy struck out back then, he'd come back and slam his helmet or slam his bat into the rack. These dudes was coming back, placing they shit. I'm sorry. They was placing
you say whatever you want, man. It's the internet.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
They come back, they place their helmet, they put the bat in there, they take the gloves off real kindly, and they sit down like, shit, I wasn't getting a hit anyway. Shit, So
especially with that banger. He throw that banger, spin people around in a box,
Larkin would always. Okay, go.
They said Doc Gooden tipped every pitch, but he had 300 strikeouts in the season. I'm like, well, that's the kind of tipping I want to have right there, where they know what's coming and they still can't hit it.
Yeah.
That was unbelievable, man. Yeah.
Larkin had so many stories of him having to face Randy Johnson because Herbeck wanted a day off. He's like,
I got a hit off Randy Johnson, too.
No way. What, fastball?
Fastball, man. He was a young rookie for the Expos. It was like the battle.
I saw that.
Battle of the Giants. He's 6'10", I'm 6'7", and he threw the first fastball, and I swung like, oh my God. And then you can hear the announcer was like, well, I don't think Marvin's got a real good chance of competing against this guy. But then my old days of playing strikeout kicked in. I'm like, I ain't getting pumped. I'm going to at least go out swinging. And I chopped one off that turf, chopped it to center field. I got the first, like, yeah, that's what I do, baby. That's what I do.
So yeah, I mean, that's the fun part of the game. So, like, why can't we celebrate in baseball? Because that's what it is. Like, it's not golf. Almost every other sport has a celebration that is appropriate, right? But if you get excited and fun, fist pump or bat flip or do whatever, it's like, whoa, act like you've been here before. And it's like, for me, when I made to my highest level, when I was in winter ball in Mexico, and I'm in front of 60,000 people at Culiacan, and they're chanting "Gringo sucks" as I come in from the pen, and I'm like, "Oh my God, this is exactly what I needed." I just get so fired up about it, even to this day. And I went out with punchy, and gave a big fist bump. And then one of my older teammates was like, "Hey man, you gotta act like you've been there before." I'm like, "Bro, never thrown in front of 60,000 people before."
This is what I
Huge
do.
situation in the game.
This what I do when I was there. This is how I did it. Shit.
Right. And that's what makes me thinking about you, right? Why can you strut on the mound and just be like, that's what, like, there's a feeling that comes over you as a pitcher where that confidence is, and like getting to that flow state and that positivity is just so important for a guy. I just don't know why we would limit that.
Absolutely, man. I mean, I don't mind a guy backflip. If a guy hits a 3-run bomb off me and it's a walk-off, he can do backflips around the bases. I don't care. Hey, dude, my bad. You got me. Damn. Okay. Have fun.
Yeah.
Your teammates at home plate, they're going to hug you, kiss you, get out of the way while I'm walking off the field. All right? But if you do that shit in the second inning, you hit a home run off me and you running around the bases blowing kisses, and I know that you, like, directing that toward, if you get in the dugout and you guys are dancing, whatever they've been doing in the dugout, go ahead, handle it.
Yeah.
But if you hit a home run and you running around the bases and you staring me down like, you ain't got shit, throw some more in there. Okay, the next one you're going to get undressed on. And I might not even wait for you to come back up. It might be the next hitter, because I want the next hitter like, hey, man, calm that shit down, because this dude throwing at me. I didn't do nothing to him, and I'm taking
controlling the game
of your mess. So, I mean, there's a place for it. There's a situation for it. I mean, if it's a big situation where the game's on the line and you come through,
lead change, right?
Have fun, man. But a solo homer in the second inning and you act like you done conquered the world. This ain't gonna be BP, and somebody ass is gonna pay for it. Hey, that's just, again, that goes back to what I was stating earlier about being a competitor and playing the game, talking trash. You can talk trash, but sometimes guys gonna be sore losers. And when you run into that sore loser, you need to know who it is. Ask Nolan Ryan. You swing hard off him, you may get the next one in your ribs. Bob Gibson hit a guy one time, and then the guy was going down to first, and he said, I thought you threw hard, And then the next time up, Gibson hit him in the exact same spot. No, he was going down to first. He was like, my daddy hit me harder than that. And then Gibson hit him the second time in the same spot, and the guy went down to the ground. And Gibson was like, I bet your daddy ain't never hit you like that, though. And so, I mean, you want to give it out, you better be willing to take it. That's
right. But that's the game. You got to be able to handle it. You know what I mean? Like, you got to have some feel, right? like you're saying, hit a solo bomb in the second. It's 1-0. Like, game's not even over. Now, if it's a lead change and it's a big part of the game, like, that's where, right? Obviously, right? Like, you can
look, if you can't take it. I saw your boy Machado do it. He hit a home run and he was like celebrating. And then the guy, the pitcher from the Dodgers, struck out somebody, and he was like shooting arrows up in the stands, and he was threw his glove up in the stands. I'm like, oh,
I saw that too.
They going back and forth, but then
Machado, that's the part we like, right? Yeah,
he wanted to get butthurt and try. He want to fight the guy. I'm like, hey man, you did it earlier, so expect to get it back, and that's sometimes when you do that, sometimes it gets out of hand. And that's what I think, guys try to protect against, where it gets out of hand, where that guy might be getting released after the game and you just hit a walk-off off of him. And he's thinking, oh, shit, I ain't got nobody out in 2 weeks. And they told me before the game that they got my ticket ready for AAA if I don't perform. And so now he's taking it personally, even though it may not even be directed towards him. Now the next guy, he want to take somebody with him. So, I mean, that's big boy baseball, man. I don't advocate that for Little League, but hey, you getting a check, man. They trying to dig in your wallet and take money out your pocket.
Do you follow John Boy Media?
I do. He's funny as hell.
Yeah. So I mean, we don't have a ton of conversations with MLB guys, and I just always talk about how that should be so much more common. And it doesn't have to be that guy. But like a guy like yourself or guys that have been in the game that understand the game within the game, I think the internet is providing a place where it's silly that it doesn't exist already, right? Some real takes of what's going on in Major League Baseball. There's a great market for that. I would love to pay for to pay for guys that have been in the game for years and years and years and now want to talk about what's actually going on, right? Not the the TV version, like the internet version, the unrated, because I think that's, I just don't think people can't understand it because it's so not obvious. Most people just see a guy throwing the ball, waiting around. Do you know what I mean? And it's so
I made a couple videos like that. I was facing Jeff Bagwell, and I threw a fastball by him, and it's labeled inside the mind of a big league pitcher. And it's so deep in my Instagram, I couldn't tell you. I had a couple of them I put on my Twitter as well. But I was like, yeah, he don't know me. I'm getting my sign. I'm like, yeah, I just blew cheese by the man. Look at him up there sitting down in his little crouch. I'm getting ready to come at him with some more cheese. And then I throw a fastball. He swings and misses. I'm like, yeah, I got it. I'm feeling good today. And I'm like, yeah, last time I threw him a slider. This time I'm going to force him his ass up high. And then he hit a home run off me. And when he hit it, I was like, oh, damn. must be Coors Field. So it was hilarious. It's hilarious, man. It's hilarious.
Oh, man, that's awesome.
I mean, I've done a couple. I did one when I hit my home run. I mean, it was like I just tried to give the fans what I'm actually thinking, as opposed to being such a professional, so to speak.
Right.
They need to know what's going on. That I'm human too. I'm like, oh shit,
Yeah.
Barry Bonds is batting. I'm in the middle of my stretch, and I'm looking over on deck. Who is that on deck? Oh, Gary Reedus, ball 4. So I'm like, I'm pitching around guys.
Marvin, that's what the commentating should be. Like Tony Romo's Cass brings this up. Tony Romo's conversations that he has in commentating blows away the other guy every time because he played it. He knows what the guys are thinking and where the checkdowns are and this and that. CC Sabathia has on his podcast was talking about that he wanted to do an unfiltered rated R type thing where he was acting as if, because you and I know the conversations that happen on the bench as opposed to what people actually hear what's going on during the game.
Yes,
that's what he's like. That's what you want to hear. I remember sitting next to Luis Sojo in Mexico, who's my manager, and I'm like just talking in his head and asking him, there's a guy down in Mexico named Jafet Amador. If you built like just it's unreal who this guy. He's 6'8", 300 pounds.
I was gonna say he sounds like Megatron every time John talks about
it. Right. He's 6'8", 300 pounds. He plays in Japan and then he plays in Mexico at home. But like the balls he hit in Japan and Mexico are just like, and I faced him, and like of course, you bring the import in down there and you gotta face him, and every time I'd come in it'd just be like slider cutter. So I'm like, bro, I'm not giving you a fastball. The one game I start, I get 2 games at 2 in, I get 2 rollovers to third base. I'm like, woo, third time through, I'm like, you know what? I haven't thrown this guy a first pitch fastball yet. I go backdoor 2-seam, hit my spot, and he hit an absolute rocket ship over my head. And we found out that the top of the batter's eye was made out of aluminum when it hit the top of it. Right. And so like Luis Sojo comes out to the mound and has a visit after that because I'm giggling on the mound. He's like, what's so funny about that? And I was like, that's the farthest ball that's ever been hit off me, ever. Like, and it was the loudest. Like, you got to laugh at yourself at that point. Like, you got caught,
Absolutely. Absolutely. I had one, I did one recently. I struck out Bobby Bonilla 3 times in the previous game. And then the next game, he was at Coors Field, and I'm on the mound. I'm going, I got his ass 3 times last time. So I know he up there thinking about them off-speed pitches and sliders I threw him. Let me sneak a fastball in here. And he shot me so far out of right field, man. They got this purple line on the upper deck at Coors Field, and it's a row of seats that's all purple. That's the mile high level. I said, he just hit me a mile high. And I'm looking at him, I'm looking at the ball, I'm like, damn. I don't think nobody's ever hit one up there. I was like, okay, again, I'm the first guy to ever do something. So it was just, I keep it fun because again,
Yeah, you have to.
This
You know what I mean?
game is tough. This game is tough,
Yeah.
and it's entertainment. So I try and let guys in on some of the things that I was thinking, not all of it, because sometimes I was out there thinking, God, I shouldn't even be out here right now.
What am I doing? Yeah.
I'm telling you,
Yeah,
man.
hey,
I was like,
hey, you didn't play where I did
up?
in Mexico, but yeah, I mean that's what I was doing in Mexico.
Man.
Sometimes I'd stand and look around at the stadium, whether I was in minor leagues or major leagues, and I'm like, where am I? Like, what am I doing with my life right now? You know?
Yeah.
So
that's what this game does, man.
Yeah, well, we've coming up on an hour here. I don't want to eat up too much of your time, but this has been great. We got to do this again.
Absolutely, man.
I would really love for you to push to figure out. Small suggestion. If do you follow Joe Rogan at all?
Who's that?
Joe Rogan.
I don't follow him. I might have seen some of the things that he's done.
So he does a thing that we can talk about it off air if you need some help with it. But he does a thing called a fight companion, and what he does is instead of people watching the UFC and listening to the announcers, he has them sync it up with his audio with his group of people, and they're watching the thing there.
Okay.
And so I can't watch professional baseball, even in the World Series, with the audio on. I have to turn music on because I just can't do it because Joe Buck or somebody's going to say something. I'm like, you're going to set me off. I'm going to forget what's going on in the game, and I just need to be able to focus on what's going on.
Absolutely.
But I would love to see you. I would love to see you do something like that and just like have some kind of stream going while you're watching games and just talk about what you see because your insight and your history is what the game needs. You know, I mean, love Oral Hershiser to death, but I know that's not how he really is. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I saw him on the mound. I knew how much of a bulldog he was, and he goes, does a couple Little League World Series. He comes back to a rated G kind of guy. I'm like, come on, man, come on, you were a bulldog there, man. There was a lot more F-bombs in your life previously.
Oh, no doubt about it, man.
And those are the things that baseball needs to understand and see because, you know, a culture shock for me was coming from such a small town and then going to a junior college down in Pensacola, Florida, and it being the top JUCO conference in the country. And like you said, I wasn't used to this other team yelling at me while I was pitching. I was like, I don't know what is that? I don't know what these guys are yelling at me for. So like, you know, there's just too much knowledge that should be transferred. And I'd love to see you just, you know, sprinkle it all over the internet because you proved it. You did it.
Well, I'm going to get right on that, man. I think I'm going to make another video today, Inside the Mind of a Psycho Pitcher. I'll put that up there. I just got to find the right clip to put with it, though. But I still got all my videos, man, from when I played. And guys, all the time that I played against, if I see somebody go, hey, did you know Reggie Sanders was a 300 guy? And I'm like, oh, yeah, but look, I knew that dude, too. And I'll put a video up there of me striking him out on 3 pitches. And so I like to and all the guys are like, hey, man, how come you don't put that home run I hit up off you? I'm like, this is Freeman baseball, man. You should have saved your videos like I saved mine, man. You know, I had an insight. I knew that someday them videos that I had were going to be valuable. And thank God for Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook, baby.
Wow, I'm glad you're saying that. I mean, it's the power of the internet if you know what it is and how you can connect. Like the fact that I was able to DM you and you're a great human. I really appreciate you taking some time out of your day. But this is just people need to hear this kind of stuff because like Cass and I have conversations about this all the time, and we've only had our facility here in San Diego for about 2 months right now, and it's going great. And we're getting a lot of more high level guys and stuff over here for them to do stuff. But you know, like you said, people don't know the game within the game. And if you're not playing the game, like if you're just practicing these scenarios, and it's literally too easy for the hitters because it's front toss at 8 miles an hour and it's on a tee every time the guys throw it.
Yeah.
When I get up there and I have 89-91 and I have 18 inches vertical break on my fastball because I get on top of it and I'm downhill and you don't know which direction it's going to go, and I change speeds every pitch, good luck. Really good luck. You know what I mean?
That's baseball, man. So if I'm out there visiting my boy Dave Justice, he out there in San Diego, we'll come by and run over in there.
Man. Please, David. David, if you're listening, brother.
Hey, David, when I was on the Rockies and I went back to play against the Braves, Dave was one of my best friends in baseball. So when I got a chance to face him, I knew what kind of hitter he was. He got a base hit off of me the other way on a 2-2 splitter that was nasty, but I knew he was going to put the ball in play. And when he got the hit, he goes down first and he winks at me. And that's I got it all on video. On video. He winks at me. I said, if any other guy ever winked at me after getting a hit off me, I'm hitting everybody. But since he was my man, I couldn't help but to laugh. You got me, dog. But I mean, that's the kind of fun that we had, on the field, off the field. I mean, guys like that, they're gonna be your friends as long as you're still alive and in this game. But he's one of the guys I think of when I hear San Diego. I always think of Dave Justice.
Awesome, Marvin. This has been amazing. I can't wait to cut up some awesome.
Thanks for coming on.
And from there, I appreciate it, man. I really do.
No doubt.
Man. Yeah, man. Like I said, if you're ever in San Diego, look us up, man. We'd love to have you show all the fun stuff over here. We got Apple TVs and video analysis and everything. And if you ever need anything from us, you have a question, feel free to reach out too. This has been really cool.
Send me one of them Cutternation hats or something so I can.
You like this? Yeah.
Flex my muscle on the internet.
100%.
So I'll put my mailing address on that DM for you.
Yeah,
you can go and shoot me. Make sure it's a black one because the villains.
We got all the colors, man. You got to swag out, right?
The villain is in black, baby. The villain, the cowboy always had the black hat on.
Let me help you. I'll do the swap right now. There you go.
There it is.
There she is. There we go.
Right. See, now
you got to murder. You got to murder it out. I know you're a hip hop guy too. I was seeing that on there too. A little DMX slide for you.
Oh so. Yeah, I slide. I take it back, man. I'm old, but I'm young. I'm old, but I'm young at heart, man.
Yeah, I hear you. I love it. Well, appreciate it, brother. Guys, don't forget to smash that like button. Follow Marvin. Marvin, why don't you tell everybody, just your handles, where you are on social media, how they can follow you from there.
Yeah, you can follow me on Instagram, Freeman Baseball, Twitter, same thing, Freeman Baseball, and Facebook. It's all Freeman Baseball because that's all that matters. It's Freeman Baseball, baby.
Perfect. It's the greatest ending ever that we've had. Thanks, brother. I appreciate it. Guys, rate, review, subscribe, help us out. Check out the website. Follow Marvin. If you're in the Atlanta area, go. What facility are you at, by the way? I couldn't find that. What's the name of the place that you do your training
The place that I do my training at is D-Bats. D-Bats in Douglasville, Georgia. It's like right outside the city of Atlanta. Not too far from where I live, but I go where the players are. I'm a mobile guy. I put my pitching hat on and I jump in my truck and I go where the pitchers need me the most because I'm here to help and I want to help as many as I can. And, I try to be as accessible as I can to all that need it.
That's awesome. That's what you need. That's what we need, more guys like you in the game, teaching the game within the game. I love it.
Absolutely. You guys have a great day and, keep that thing in on the hands and keep working down and away, baby.
Down and away. I love it.
Thanks,
all right.
Marvin.
Appreciate it.